All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is February 2nd, 2026, first trading day of the month. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of my subscribing members here. Thank you for, I don't take that for granted. Try to provide actionable, profitable content every day. I appreciate each and every one of you, hoping to provide profits for all of you. All right, so let's take a look at the markets today. Let's see what happened. All right, so we got a, what started out was a 10-minute, I'm going to move this over. Started out was a 10-minute little uptrend right here. And we had consolidation under consolidation, so my bias was bearish this morning. And we had a trend line that was kind of like moving down through here. So I explained to traders that if we got below this line right here, all right, I was going to be bearish. If we got on top of this, I was going to be bullish. Well, the first thing they did this morning was jack the price up over this. And at that point in time, I called out into the room that I'm buying calls. All right, so you can see it right here. Right here at 9:45, I said 695 strike calls, SPY 0 DTE, buying 695 calls. So I shared it in here in the room so that everybody could make money right alongside of me if they wish to follow me. All right, so there it is, 10-minute chart. I said I'm buying 695 calls. We had a 10-minute uptrend. All right, let me give you the lay of the land here. The 3 EMA is this yellow line. This burnt orange line right here, that is VWAP. This white line is the 8 EMA on the 10-minute chart. Okay, so we have a 10-minute uptrend. Okay, because the 3 EMA is pointed up, the 8 EMA is pointed up, and these dots, these are the 17 EMA. So each one of those dots is the 17 EMA. You put them together, right? Instead of a line, it's dots. Now, when the price is above that dot, it turns green, and when it's below the dot, it turns red. So we got everything pointed up. So that was a 10-minute uptrend. We don't know how far it's going to go. Sometimes they go to gap fill and then reverse and come all the way back down. This one didn't. Went up there and kind of held the higher ground. So at 9:45, I said I'm buying calls. And we traded this 10-minute uptrend up into the highs of the day, right up through here. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. Beautiful 10-minute uptrend all day. And as you can see, this was a trend day. Okay, trend day is when you got a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP between the hours of 11 and noon. So this 10-minute uptrend lasted till 2:30, all right, and beyond. All right, so 10-minute uptrend lasting till 2:30, and then you can see after 2:30, excuse me, you can see the 3 EMA crosses down under the 8 EMA, and now we have a 10-minute downtrend, but it's above VWAP right there. Okay, so 10-minute downtrend after 2:30. So this one lasted till 2:30, and that's pretty much what happens on a trend day. Is the 10-minute uptrend or the 15-minute uptrend will last till about 2:30, and then there's like a 20 or 30% chance that price closes at the end of the day at the high of the day. Now we don't know if that's going to happen, but you can see right here we've got 1 minute left. All right, so it doesn't look like that's going to be at the high of the day. All right, so we got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. That's SPY on the 10-minute. All right, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. So the 2-hour chart, again, we've got the bullish cross, okay, right here. You can see the 3 EMA crosses up over the 8 EMA. All right, so we have a bullish 2-hour uptrend right there. Now, my favorite trade is the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend. And we didn't have a 2-hour uptrend till we crossed over right here. So it resides inside the 2-hour uptrend. That's inside the daily uptrend. That's inside a weekly uptrend. That's inside a monthly uptrend. So we had my favorite trade today. Okay, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, inside the 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend, and probably all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So we can take that anchored VWAP, stick that right here, and you can see clearly we got a 10-minute uptrend over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. I can juice that up, kind of make it thicker so you can see it. Right there. So 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right there. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so there's SPY on the 2-hour chart. Let's take a look at it on the daily chart. We're going to go to a different chart here. And you can see we've got, let's take a look at the lows. All right, Friday's low was 687.12. Today's low was 686.06. So we got a lower low and a higher high. So we got an outside day. All right, higher high, lower low, closing over bullish trap. Okay, you can see we're up over the 3 EMA here. All right, so closing over a bullish trap, and we're up over the green dots. Okay, you can see the green dots here. So we closed over the 17 EMA. We closed at the top of quadrant 4. This is our April low right here. This is the origin of this whole rally, is that April low. So we're bullish and in an uptrend on SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, so QQQ, let's take a look at the 10-minute first. Okay, so 10-minute, same thing. Notice you got a 10-minute uptrend right here, breaking up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. So you got a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Right here, see the 3 and the 8 are pointed up, and the VWAP's pointed up. You see you got a 10-minute uptrend that lasts until about, well, right there. That's probably about 2:30. Yep, it is. All right, so then after 2:30, you got a trend day, and that 10-minute uptrend lasts till 2:30. That's a reversal time, popular reversal time. So then we started a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. On the 2-hour chart, okay, you can see we got a bullish cross. See the 3 crossing over the 8 EMA right here. So that's the white line. So we had a 10-minute uptrend inside of a 2-hour uptrend that was inside of a daily uptrend, inside a weekly uptrend, inside a monthly uptrend. So here you go here with QQQ. Coming into the close, we have a 2-hour uptrend. On the daily chart, we have, I will see what we got here. It's close. High is 628.26. High is 628.49. We got an outside day. Got a higher high and a lower low. We closed over a bullish trap. Okay, you can see daylight just barely between the 3 and the 8 EMA. So you got price closing over a bullish trap. Okay, and then over the dot, so it's over the rising 17 EMA. Okay, so you can see price is still in an uptrend. All right, they made a high. They made a higher high. So they're still in an uptrend. They haven't made a lower low yet. So here's QQQ on the daily chart up here at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, this is our April. That's the origin of this whole rally. Okay, and we're bull flagging up here at the top of quadrant 4. So that's bullish. Anything in the upper third is bullish and in an uptrend for QQQ. Weekly chart, you can see all the green dots, bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Same for SPY. Okay, see monthly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Weekly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at IWM. We'll look at this on the daily chart. So IWM puts in an outside day as well. All right. So that's a higher high, a lower low. We closed inside a bearish trap because you can see the yellow 3 EMA is under the 8 EMA here. So we closed inside. We closed where the top of the body of the candle is. So we closed inside a bearish trap. And we closed over, see the red dot? We closed over the red dot. So we closed over the flat 17 EMA. But we closed under, see the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so we haven't made any lower lows. All right. We have an uptrend. We're just experiencing a pullback in the uptrend. Okay, this is in the middle of quadrant 4. All right. Anything in the upper third is bullish. Here's the origin of the move. All right, starts in April and rallies all the way up here to the all-time high. You can see price action for IWM is bullish and still in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, higher low, higher high, closing over. You see the 3 crosses over the 8. So over a bullish cross because it crossed from below up over the 8. So over a bullish cross, over the, see the dots, see the green dot, over this flat 17, up at the top of quadrant 4. We haven't made any lower lows yet on Diamond Dow. So here's the origin of the move. Here's our April low. Here's our all-time highs. So this is bullish and in an uptrend. We can turn this on a little bit louder. So you can see that it's up over. You can see the pink line now. It's up over that. So it's bullish and in an uptrend on Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at Stinker. All right, so Stinker puts in, I'll see what we got for a high. High there is 2309. High for today, 2311. Outside day. Okay, so it's a higher high and a lower low. And we got price closed under a bearish trap, under the falling 17. Okay, under the all-time, this is the pink line right here. All-time, that's the all-time high. All-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, it's not in the upper third, so it's just neutral, and they still haven't made a higher high, so it's neutral and in a downtrend still. Okay, there's Stinker. Okay, if this could have gotten going, we could have had some wonderful new all-time highs, but it's not working right now. Okay, so that's FNGU on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver's got a lower high and a lower low, and we closed under a bearish trap, under the hooking 17 EMA, and not in the upper third. That would be the upper third above the crosshairs right here. Okay, so not in the upper third, so it's neutral. Still in an uptrend, believe it or not. This is a pullback in the uptrend. Until we break something that is below the 17, like that candle right there, we're still in an uptrend. We're just experiencing a pullback. Okay, so there's silver. If they get below this candle here, that will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend. Okay, so there's silver. Now the origin of this move starts off way back here in 2022. There's the origin of the move. That's the valley low up to the all-time high. Okay, so those of us that shorted silver the other day, let me explain how we got to that decision. Okay, first of all, you got the sword right here. This is the sword candle. The business end is pointed up, which means price will typically go up and roll over. And did it? Yes, it did. But before it did, it tried to put in a little fake out. Okay? But if you were smart enough to look for the divergence on the VZO, all right, on the 2-hour chart, you could see the divergence on the PPO right after the middle finger. Price puts in a higher high. right? Remember that? Right after they gave you the middle finger, that would be the sword candle. Price puts in a higher high. But look at the divergence on the VZO. Here's your all-time high. And then this is a higher high. So shouldn't these candles or the histogram be higher than that? No, they were not. They were lower than that. We had bearish divergence. We held on to the shorts and we buried them. All right, okay? Right down into the dip. All right? This is about knowing what's going on, okay? So there we go. They gave us the middle finger. We said, not today, and we buried them, holding on to the short. So there's silver, okay? That's why we played silver short. Okay, let's take a look at the daily chart for silver. I think we already did. I already explained why we were short silver. Okay, so silver, like I said, still in an uptrend. Let's take a look at gold. Gold's got a lower high and a lower low. And we closed under a bearish, see that 3 crosses over the 8, under a bearish cross, under a hooking 17 EMA or a rising 17, okay? Still in quadrant 4, not quite as bad as silver. Silver's down here in quadrant 3. Gold's still up in quadrant 4, so that's bullish and still in an uptrend, all right? This is just a pullback in the uptrend right there. That's for gold, okay? You have to break something that shoots below the 17. This is the first area of interest right at the upper third. Right there. See, right there, that's where if they get below that, they negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend. Currently, they're still bullish. And even with this big dip and these big red candles, they're still in an uptrend. All right, until they break these lows right here. Okay, so that's gold. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG was doing fantastic before. And let me show you, give you the lay of the land for UNG. This is our 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. And believe it or not, this is the all-time low right there. Okay? The all-time high, okay, hold on to your seats, okay, is way back here at 8,000. Okay? Since then, they haven't, ever since making that all-time high, UNG has not been doing very well at all. Okay? So let's go back to the daily chart. Okay, so that's the all-time low. All right, so you can see they got the sword candle as well. See the sword candle? It's like the big middle finger giving you the finger right there. Okay, so, and then what happens? Price rolls up and rolls over, and they came all the way down and made a new all-time low. All right, so understanding the sword candle is a big part of trading. Understanding huge candles is also a big part of trading. All right, if you know to draw in what the candles look like. For me, all right, I teach the traders here in the BYOB Trading Room to fill in the candle. That's what I teach them. Let's see if I can get my drawing tools up, start filling in some candles so you can learn the same thing that I teach them. All right, so let's take the line. We want the green one. And we'll take this right here. So, okay, so I teach them to fill in the candle. So this is where price closed on this day. See this candle that gaps way up? So I tell them to fill it in. All of that. Okay? Now, if you fill that in, look at that one candle, takes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12 candles. That one big candle. That is an igniting candle right there. Okay? All right, so We're looking for an exhaustion candle, okay? So this is the biggest green candle at the origin of the move, all right? So that is the igniting candle. Now we look and we see the biggest candle. Again, we closed right here, so we fill it in. Now we see the biggest green candle at the end of the move. That's the exhaustion candle. Okay, see that? And then we came tumbling down right here yesterday. Or, well, today. Okay, so got lower high, lower low. We closed below the bullish trap, below the rising 17. We were up in the neutral land, because if I take the crosshairs, okay, that would be the lower third, everything below the crosshairs there. So this was neutral up here, right? And we closed below, so we're in quadrant 1. So remember, it's the body that closed down here. So we close in quadrant 1, so this is bearish, all right? But get this, it's still in an uptrend, okay? Because we haven't broken this low. This is the first low you come to that's below the 17. If we break this low, we will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend. So currently, UNG, even with this big red candle, and we can draw this one in. You want to see? This is going to be a huge candle. Okay, huge. Okay, remember we left off up here. So I teach the traders to fill it in. So you would take this and you would fill this candle in all the way up there. See that bearish engulfing move now? Okay, that's huge. All right, so there is UNG. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing below the bullish trap and below the rising 17. It's in quadrant 1, so that's bearish, and it's still in an uptrend, believe it or not. Still in an uptrend until it breaks something. Okay, so that's UNG. It's just experiencing a pullback in the uptrend. It's a huge pullback, though. Let's take a look at USO. All right, here's USO. Here's the candle for USO. It's a lower high, a lower low. And we close below the bullish trap. Notice the 3 is on top of the 8. We close over the rising 17. We close over, see this pink line? Okay, that's a 4-year high anchored VWAP. And that starts in 2022. We're in 2026. Okay, so this is COVID. Remember COVID? Everybody remembers COVID. How can you forget it? This is the COVID. This is the post-COVID rally. Okay, so after COVID, we had a rally. So this is the high of that rally. So this is the 4-year high anchored VWAP. So we closed. We were up here in the bullish. That was quadrant 4. Okay, so notice we did not close in the upper third. Okay, if we'd have closed above the crosshairs, that would have been the upper third. Okay, and that would have been bullish. So we're neutral, but still in an uptrend. Okay, remember we didn't break any lows yet. Okay, we've got a pullback in the uptrend, just like UNG. So this neutral, and you can see we closed under the bullish trap, but over, look at the rising 17. See how the dots rise over the rising 17, over the 4-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, so that's USO. Again, I said to traders to watch UNG and USO to see if they can hold the higher ground. Okay, that was the critical structure that needed to be built. Okay, because they have a habit of going up and giving it up. Go up, give it up. Go up. See, they get up into the bullish area and then they give it up. And they did it again. All right, see that? They go up to the bullish upper third and they keep giving it up. There's USO. And that's what I said. If you go watch my last video, my previous videos, I constantly talk about moving up and holding the higher ground. Okay, and they lost it again. So there's USO. They can regain it though. Okay, it's possible they climb back up there tomorrow. There's USO. Let's take a look at we did silver and gold. We did oil and gas. Let's look at the technicals. T2101. Okay, so this is the market breadth. You just take what is the breadth. It kind of measures, I'm going to say, the participation. All right, so you take the word participation and you substitute it for absolute breadth. So you can see price today, okay, even though we rallied up near the all-time highs. Remember I said we were in striking distance. And look at the participation is dropping. See how it's getting thinner and thinner? The participants that want to get involved. So that's not good. You want price to go up and participation to increase at the same time. It's not, all right? Price is going up and people are not interested, okay? That's not a good sign at all. That's a bearish sign when price goes up and people aren't interested, all right? Or traders or investors just are not interested. So that's T2101. So that's kind of an important, data. When you say to know that there's no like oomph behind this move up. There's no, that's why it kind of failed to make that higher high. It got up there, but it just petered out at the end of the day there. Okay, so there's T2101. T2122, okay, nice work on the bulls on this. They managed to climb out of the sell zone into the seller's chop zone, okay, and they got on the other side of the 50-yard line here, okay, a little football term, or the midcourt, midfield, half court, okay. All right, so they got on the other side of the half court, all right, and they consolidated up here, and they kind of broke this downtrend line that we have right through here. So if I were to draw a line right there, see how they broke that? And then they have to hold the higher ground. Remember I said that about USO and UNG. They seem to be doing it so far, all right? But I got to tell you, I think I'm looking at a bearish head and shoulders pattern. All right, we'll see what happens tomorrow. See the head, how it pokes up over the two shoulders, the left and the right. Okay, so we'll see. But I do like that consolidation up there at the highs of the buyer's chop zone, actually kind of knocking on the door of the buy zone. So that was bullish. That was a nice move today, making higher highs and higher lows. Nice work there for the bulls on T2122. All right, let's go take a look at T2123. I got to zoom in because I can't really see too well. So this candle right here is the all-time high. So I'm going to put my crosshairs over it. All right, so you can see this candle right here pokes up through it. Okay, see that? One more time. See how that candle pokes up through it? This was the all-time high, so they made a new all-time high on T2123 today. And you can see price. See how price moves up and holds the higher ground? That's a show of strength. Okay, that's bullish. All right? Instead of going up and giving it up. Remember I pointed out on USO how they continually go up and give it up. Notice they're not giving it up. They're going up and they're holding up here. Look at this bullish gap still open. The bears still haven't been able to fill that gap. Or this gap. Okay? Or this gap. Or that gap. Okay? This is very bullish. Okay? And the fact that they're holding up here for all these days, also bullish. So we're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's bullish. Okay? T2123. We made new all-time highs. Okay? They needed to take out this low. They failed here, and they failed here. Okay? So we're still in an uptrend. Of course we are, because we made new all-time highs, right? So that's bullish and in an uptrend on T2123 15-minute chart. Now we look at the 3-bar. Okay, you can see clearly price moves up and over to the right. Okay, in order to be in a downtrend, it would have to take out that low right there. That's the first red dots that you see. Okay, so we're a long ways away. So we're still in an uptrend. We're holding the higher ground. We're over the flat 200 SMA. We're at the top of quadrant 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's bullish and in an uptrend. Now let me show you. Okay, this became the new all-time high in 2024, right here. Then we had a pullback, all right, all the way to April, okay? And in April, we V-bottomed out of here, okay? And we started our rally all the way up here to this high, and then we breached that high, made a new all-time high. Then we pulled back. So he's got a little head and shoulders pattern right here. So we pulled back to the neckline. Then we bounced up through the flat 200 and we began to hold over the top of that 200 SMA. From there, we did a measured move up and made a new all-time high. Okay, so there's T2123 3-bar chart. So this is the origin of the move, April. Okay, so we're bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, now we'll look at stinker on the 15. All right, for today's action, okay, there's a high. Well, they didn't make a higher high. They made a higher high than there. And they didn't make a lower low after making that higher high. So they are still in an uptrend. Technically, they're in an uptrend because this would be the low that they had to get underneath, and they failed. And you can see we got a little high here, and they made a higher high. They're still under the flat 200 SMA. They don't seem to be leaving the area. That's one good sign. Okay, but you can see clearly a lot of work to be done. They're still underneath this falling falling all-time high anchored VWAP. And they're still underneath the falling 200 SMA. Okay, so they're in a 15-minute uptrend, not a daily uptrend. It's just a little 15-minute uptrend. Okay, and they're holding this area right now. Okay, it's not very impressive. I'm just going to say that. Okay, and they're in a 15-minute uptrend. Maybe they can hold it together and climb back on top of the 200 SMA. We'll see. All right, that's it for me for today, traders. I will see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock. All right? I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Hope you all made some money. I heard somebody made a goal today. That pleases me when I hear people made goals. Love that. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, you did. Way to go, CP. I love it. See y'all tomorrow in the morning at 8.